The Garden, the Pit, and the Talents, Part 3 of a series on AI in education. Learn from the tool, don't become it. This is the third article in a 4-part series. First, I showed how AI can serve as a tool for teachers and students. Second, I sketched its pitfalls. Now I turn to how AI can go too far, reshaping and even bypassing our own thinking. Knights, dragons, and lanternflies. One night this summer, we were eating dinner outside on our deck. It was late August, warm and breezy, the sun setting gold across the neighborhood. Late summer in Brooklyn also means lanternflies, ugly, erratic little tanks, bold enough to leap right at you. The last 2 summers were miserable with their infestations. This year, their presence was lighter, though our cats still hunted them, chasing them until their wings cracked open and revealing the red flash beneath. My daughter used to be a lanternfly warrior, swatter in hand. But her courage had faded, and by this year, she was full-on afraid. When we asked her to clear the table, she froze. A dead lanternfly blocked her path, and that was enough. So I told her a story. A princess, a knight, and a dragon. The knight was afraid, but love carried him into the dragon's lair anyway. He fought, he won, he saved the princess, and they carried away the dragon's gold. A plain old fairy tale, cobbled together from scraps of others, but it carried something true. Bravery doesn't mean you aren't afraid. It means you are, and you go on anyway. When I finished, my wife smiled and asked, "What about the princess?" My daughter chimed in, "Yeah, what about her?" "She was braver still," I said. "She endured the dragon and his dungeon." And then something shifted. My daughter picked up the silverware, squared her shoulders, and stepped right past the bug. At the door, she turned back and declared, "You're not going to bother me anymore. I'm not afraid." That's the power of stories. They slip past resistance and land on truth. Why begin here in an essay about AI? Because fear runs through this too. Many teachers are afraid of what AI means for kids, for jobs, or even for their own minds. You may be afraid. That's not wrong. But ignoring AI won't make it vanish. Better to face it with care, with courage, and see what's really there. And just like the knight and the princess, you might even come away with treasure. But before we do that, let's look at the ways AI can stir those fears. It shapes us in ways we don't expect. AI can sway our thinking, let our minds atrophy, and widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots. The bottomless pit. If you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Friedrich Nietzsche, Beyond Good and Evil. A year ago, I asked AI to help me sort out some ideas about knowledge and creativity. I was trying to frame the difference between aiming at what is true and good versus just imagining goals regardless of reality. But no matter how I steered it, the AI kept pushing me toward another way of thinking, directing me to what sounded like the language of manifesting. In other words, the AI wanted me to take on the idea that if you imagine it, it will happen regardless of reality. But that isn't how I see the world. I believe in orienting to the highest good, naming what is real, and solving problems from there. Over and over, however, the AI nudged me towards words and ideas that weren't mine. And it struck me. If I didn't already know where I stood, I might have let the AI talk me into a way of thinking I didn't actually believe. That's the danger of the abyss. AI is like a bottomless pit of words. You look into it for help, and it looks back, shaping the way you think and speak. So what does this mean for teaching? Picture a teacher asking AI to draft a lesson plan or a parent email. If they aren't careful, the AI may slip in phrases like transformational learning experience and leveraging innovative strategies, or other phrases that feel foreign to their voice. Before long, they're speaking in a way that doesn't sound like them at all, and perhaps believing things they never would have subscribed to if they'd taken a moment to reflect on the words. What's the way forward? First, be aware of it. Know that AI has the ability to shape your thoughts and your language. Then set a simple guardrail. If you wouldn't say it, don't let AI say it for you. Keep your own voice, keep your own values. AI can be a tool, but don't hand it the pen for who you are or what you are grounded in. The untended garden. A little neglect may breed great mischief. Benjamin Franklin. Last winter, I was working with a group of kindergarten teachers to create thematic phonics-based fluency triangles, short patterned practice sentences that aligned with both the season and their You Fly phonics lessons. We used AI to help generate them. The problem was we had to keep repeating instructions just to get the content and format right. One teacher refused to let AI do all the work. "I like writing materials for my kids," she said. While the rest of us hunched over our devices, she pulled out a pen and paper and drafted some seasonal phonics-based fluency triangles on her own. The next week, she brought them in. They had taken more time for her to write, but they were good, really good. The kids loved them, and within a month, their fluency had noticeably improved. I took inspiration from her and tried to write a few myself. It felt hard. I could barely get started without the itch to open the ChatGPT prompt box. It was as if a part of my brain had gone slack while I let the machine do the work. That's what overusing AI can do. For teachers and students, it's like leaving a garden untended. What once grew strong and healthy becomes overrun with weeds and brambles. The soil is still there, the garden is still salvageable, but it's in disrepair. It takes work to bring it back. Studies suggest the same about our thinking. When we don't use certain mental muscles, they weaken. Like riding a bike after years away, the skills return, but they're shaky at first and take time to steady. Research backs this up. A recent MIT Media Lab study described that overuse of AI was creating cognitive debt. When the machine does too much of the heavy lifting, our own thinking loses practice and precision. Another study in the British Journal of Educational Technology warned of metacognitive laziness, the habit of letting AI bypass the very struggle that grows stronger learners. Writers like Natalie Wexler and Carl Hendrick have made the same point in plainer terms. The work we're most tempted to skip is often the work that makes us smarter. Franklin was right. A little neglect really does breed great mischief, whether it's in a garden, a classroom, or in our own minds. So what's the remedy? Don't let AI do all your work. At the very least, draft the lesson plan yourself and use AI to refine it. Never accept its first pass. Challenge its changes. Stay skeptical. Set goals to keep your own skills sharp. If you're leaning on AI to design materials, pick one day a week to sketch a chart or write a set of practice sentences by hand. The same is true for students. Give them space to work without the prompt box. Pencil and paper matter. To write is to think, and if we outsource too much writing to AI, we outsource too much thinking as well. Tend your garden. Tend your mind. The long-term health of your brain will thank you. The parable of the talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will grow rich. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Matthew 25:29. This last metaphor isn't drawn from something I've seen yet, but it's a concern I have about where we may be headed. Students and teachers who already have knowledge and strong skills tend to gain more over time over their peers. With AI, the same pattern may only intensify. Those who are already sharp writers, curious thinkers, or clever problem solvers will get more out of AI than those who aren't. Picture two students preparing for a test. The first uses AI wisely. She asks it to quiz her, to run retrieval practice, and to check her answers. She uses the tool to sharpen what she already knows. The second asks AI to spit out a study guide, skims it once or twice, and calls it a day. One grows stronger through disciplined practice, while the other is lulled into passivity. In this way, and in countless others, AI may widen the gap. There's a reason this section takes its name from the parable of the talents. In this gospel story from the New Testament of the Bible, a master gives 3 servants varying amounts of silver in talents, units of weight. The first 2 invest and double what they've been given. A third servant buries his share out of fear, gaining nothing. When the master returns, he praises the first 2, takes the third servant's share, and gives it to the one who already had the most. On top of that, the third servant is cast into the darkness. The lesson is stark. Gifts must be used and risked, or the gift and the bearer are lost. In the same way, AI has the power to multiply talents for those who use it with effort and care, but it may also expose and accelerate gaps for others. That doesn't mean it's wrong if some individuals outperform others. That has always been true. But it does raise a question. What responsibility do those who have bear toward those who struggle? The parable itself points the way. Each of us is called to an adventure and to aim upward toward what is true and good. We are called to use our gifts and to double them, not only for ourselves, but for the good of our households and for others. In this way, teachers can guide students to use AI wisely. Peers can lend a hand, and each of us can choose to use our talents in ways that lift more than just ourselves. To some, the parable ends rather harshly. To others, it is a call. Use what you've been given. Multiply your gifts. Don't bury them in the ground out of fear. All good stories must come to an end. Like my daughter facing down the lanternfly, every story has its close, and every lesson asks us what to do next. While there are plenty of reasons to be cautious with AI, as I have argued in the first 3 articles of this series, it remains a tool. And like any tool, its value lies in how we use it. For teachers, the question is simple. How can it help students learn more, remember more, and carry that learning into new situations? That's where I'll go in the final part of this series. I'll step away from metaphor and turn to practical strategies for using AI alongside what cognitive science tells us about how students actually learn.